Hey, what is up, guys? So this is probably the most based deck that you have ever seen in your life. But before we go into the base deck, shameless plug for Geek Halifax. Um, this based deck is just amazing. Like, I got bored of the current format because I kept playing Runic Plunder and a bunch of other decks that kind of lose really bad to hand traps. So I thought to myself, like, oh, I'm just going to drop out of the game, not going to play anymore, blah 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 blah, like every single baby that's crying in the corner. And then this appeared in my lap. Not the version that I'm actually playing, the slightly different one that I saw on Facebook. Theirs is a tad bit different because they spiced things up by playing Desire's Scapegoats, and basically the ye oldie version of this, which was played back when Sky Striker was a lot more better. But we took the theory, and then we jumped onto a Sky Striker deck that actually did really well for an event. I think it went something like 7-2 or something like that. And we've been rolling with it. And as you can see from like a lot of the replays, it's been curse stomping stuff into the ground because by accident you can actually output a lot of damage with this deck. And with the fact that, number one, loads of people have not seen Sky Striker TRICKSTAR before, so they have no clue actually how the deck functions. But for those of you that are not aware of how the TRICKSTAR aspect works, because we've all seen what Sky Striker does. It's basically a deck of engage, resolve, I win. All the TRICKSTAR monsters have the effect of, if your opponent does something specific, they burn for 200, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it does start to add up after a while. So Candina is the one that says that if your opponent activates a spell or trap, they get burnt 200. Lycoris is the one that says if they add a card to their hand, they get burned. So that's not just, that includes drawing for turn, that includes searching, that includes desires, that includes adding from grave, adding from banish. Any way that your opponent adds a card to their hand, they get burnt 200. And then Light Stage basically makes it so that your TRICKSTARs, whenever they burn for 200, they burn for 200 again. This also counts battle damage as well, so a lot of people kind of read to the bit where it says effect damage, stop reading, and then wonder why they're dying twice as quick. But yeah, base deck does base things. So into the deck profile we go. So we play 3 Ash, 3 Droll, 3 Kashtira Fenrir, 3 Candina, 1 Corabane, 1 Lilybell, and 2 Lycoris. Now, the reason why we play it at this sort of lineup is because we don't really need the third Lycoris, because the deck searches for a lot. Like, your field spells searches Lycoris, Candina searches Lycoris, your Pross is probably going to reveal away into Lycoris, so yeah, your opponent isn't going to really stop that. Lilybell is very good because it attacks directly and then can add Lycoris from grave back to hand, and then you use Lycoris to bounce the Lilybell back to hand. Lilybell summons itself again because it was added to your hand, and then it punches your opponent directly again. For those of you who have got PTSD from Firewall Dragon, yes, this was the card that allowed your opponent to attack you infinite times, so it was basically as long as you die before them, they can smack stuff into you to keep adding the Lilybell back to hand. And Corabane is the one that doesn't get played as often. It debates on your build, but basically it doubles the attack of your TRICKSTAR, or it can summon yourself if you control no monsters or a TRICKSTAR. The other ones are just standard obligatory stuff, except for the Droll and Lockbird. Except for the Droll, and we will explain this once we get to the trap. So then for the spells, we play the 3 Prosperity, the Sky Striker good stuff of 1 Afterburners, 1 Hornet Drones, 3 Widow Anchor, 2 Engage. Then we have 2 Super Poly, 1 Terraforming, 3 TRICKSTAR Light Stage, 1 Talent, and 1 Thrust. So the other build that you may have seen earlier played Desires, and I can see the reason why they played the Desires, because if you draw an Engage, or have an Engage in hand, you can't draw once you've done the Prosp, which kind of really sucks. However, I would rather play the Prosp. I know it kind of hurts your extra deck, but I'd rather want to draw into stuff that guarantee that I can break my opponent's board, like the Super Poly, the Widow Anchor, the Afterburners, things like that. Also, I want to guarantee that I have a Droll in my opening hand, because Droll plus the Reincarnation Trap is your opponent's just not going to play. Ever. As for the talents and thrusts, yes, I played it at one each of them. I kind of wondered why I'm actually playing the thrust in there, because the thrust can only really search the Sky Striker stuff and the pros, so it's a bit I could just play double talents over it, but it's the same thing of like talents plus pros is not really that great unless you're going to rip something out your opponent's hand or steal one of their monsters. And then finally for the traps, we have the 3 Imperm and the 3 Reincarnation. So this card is amazing. This card is amazing because most people have forgotten what it does. So your opponent banishes their entire hand and draws a new hand, and then you can banish this card from the graveyard to summon back a Trickstar. Both effects are very much relevant. So the reason why this is relevant is your opponent adds a card from deck to hand. You go Reincarnation Chainlink 1, Droll and Lockbird Chainlink 2. Droll resolves, so your opponent can't add cards from deck to your hand, and then Reincarnation banishes their entire hand and they draw no new hand. This is why we played the Prosper of the Desires, because I wanted to guarantee that I hit the Droll, because we have loads of ways to the Reincarnation, and most people have never played against Trickstar, so they don't know Reincarnation is actually a card. And that's how we can win a lot of our games, by your opponent just not having a hand. Ever. Also, the second effect does come up quite often. If you are kind of running short on hitting your opponent for game, and they've got like 1,000 life or a little bit less left, you can go Reincarnation chaining to whatever they're going to activate to search, and you summon back the Lycoris, and if they've got the field spell up, they get done 400 every single time. So yeah, that very good extra bit of damage does come up. Also, it rebonds your Lilybell, so yeah, attacking it directly for another 1,000 and then bouncing back. Really, really good, that. For the side deck, we played the 3 Shifter. Yeah, we don't really care if anything hits the grave. Yes, we do sort of care for the Sky Striker stuff, but in game 2, you're not too bothered. You side in the Shifter, and your opponent most of the time will lose from it. The 1 Pancratops, because Pancratops, I don't really need an explanation. Unless I was going to play Harpies in the main, Harpies in the side, and then try and find something else to put in them, but now we're going to just stick to the Pank. 3 Phantasme. This lets you draw your hand traps. It was debatable whether or not I wanted to actually not play Imperm and wanted to play Effect Veiler, because Phantasmes can draw into the Veilers and the Veilers become useful, but now we're just going to stick to the sort of thing that we have. 3 Nibiru, you don't care, you can nib your entire board and then Reincarnation summon stuff back from the graveyard, as long as you have access to Lilybell, it's fine. 2 Dimensional Barrier and 3 Trap Trick. So the idea with Trap Trick is if you're going first, you side in the D barriers and the Trap Trick, because then you have 2 ways to basically deal with your opponent's board, because the D barrier just shuts down quite a few decks. It shuts down the Pearly matchup, it shuts down the Branded matchup, and shuts down quite a lot of obscure matchup. As well as Mannadium, you just declare Synchro and they just can't do anything. Also, it means that you don't have to draw the double Reincarnation, because the thing that I said earlier about Droll, it works if you have double Trickstar Reincarnation. Fair enough, you kind of lose a little bit to Ash, but you have access to one of these, and the Trap Trick, your opponent starts with no hand. You just do all in draw phase and they just have no hand whatsoever. Then onto the extra deck, we have the Super Poly targets of Garuda, Mudragon, and the Starving Venom. The reason why we play the Venom over the Predaplan is because Venom is just better, because your opponent just, when they try and out this most of the time, you're Super Polying in battle phase, so they kind of give up their battle phase because they don't want to get rid of this, because it just napalm strikes their field, so they just lose from there. Then we play the 1 Typhon. Typhon has come up quite a lot more than I thought it would, but its free win is free win. Like, my opponent makes Baron, and I just go, okay, Reincarnation, summon something back from the grave, turn it into Typhon. Now I have outs to your board, and then I can just set up stuff for later on. Keep forgetting though, you have to summon this in EMZ, or your Sky Striker stuff does Naffle. Then the 1 Phoenix, we never summon this. The 1 Unicorn, never summon this. Liner, might as well be food for Prosp. SP Little Knight, yes, I am actually poor, I don't own this in real life, but it's mainly Prosp food as well. Azalea, the reason why we play this, because I'm back and forwards with it, but it's good because you can turn anything into a Sky Striker then, and then you can go Azalea to deal with their board, Then you can go Kagari to add something back from grave, whether it's a Widow Anchor or whatever. And then you can go the Widow Anchor, steal your opponent's monster, and then make the SP Little Knight. So Azalea makes your plays go a little bit further. One Hayate comes up every so often when I want to send something to grave, but it's not really used that much. The double Kagari, we play double because we want stuff back from the grave. That's really it. Shizuku, I keep forgetting to make this. This is like my guilty scam of the deck, where I don't even forget to search with this. I just forget to make it all the time. So yeah, the one Zeke is free banishing. You can, if you're not going to go the SP route, you can just make the Zeke because it makes itself bigger and allows you to attack directly. So it just deals with stuff. And the one Holy Angel, I'm just going to take this out at some point because I've never summoned this. I've done like 20 odd games with this, and this just never ever gets summoned. It's there supposedly so that I can do extra damage with my TRICKSTARs and that. But if you're playing this deck well, you will never summon this in the history of the universe. Okay, maybe probably 1 in every 1,000 games, but besides that, it's not really going to happen. But yeah, that's really the deck in a nutshell. I've had a lot of fun with it. There's probably a bunch of replays that will be appearing in the top right-hand corner or left-hand corner on YouTube, so that you guys can have a look through and see how well the deck performs. It's very, very fun. It's the king of the low-tier stuff, and you kind of can't misplay as much with this because everything searches into everything. The only time that you can potentially misplay is if you don't add up the 200s that much. So if you're playing on the dueling book, do have a pen and paper next to you because it does matter. You have no idea how many times I've had to actually sit there and pencil in how much exact damage so that I can guarantee that Incarnation during their draw phase is going to kill them. But besides that, looking forward to any form of feedback, and hopefully I'll find another based deck to go through because base decks are base decks. And I'll be signing off. Peace.